Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
Hey guys, Alistair from Team Top Cut here. I'm going to continue this series of videos examining the new archetypes debuting in the upcoming deck build pack, Justice Hunters. Last time, Brian talked about Dracotail, go watch that video if you haven't already, and today, I'm here to talk about Yummy. The deck saw immediate success in the OCG, quickly dominating tournaments and becoming one of the most highly represented decks in the format, and it's very possible that a deck like that can achieve similar results in the TCG. So without further ado, I'm going to start with a brief overview of Yummy. Yummy is a primarily synchro-based combo deck that focuses on flooding the field with monsters that have very disruptive effects. The deck is very good at playing on both players' turns, so even if you get stopped partially through your combo, you can usually retain most of your interruptions if you sequence your plays correctly. Each of the Yummy main deck monsters has an effect that triggers if it is normal or special summoned, with a separate effect that you can optionally apply instead if you summon them with the effect of a synchro monster. If summoned, Cupsy can add a Yummy card from the deck to the hand, Cookie can target an opponent's monster and make it lose 1000 attack, and Lollipo can target a card in the opponent's graveyard and shuffle it into the deck. However, if you summon them with a synchro monster's effect, Cupsy can instead draw a card, Cookie can destroy the targeted monster, and Lollipo can banish the targeted card instead of shuffling it into the deck. All of the Yummy main deck monsters have an effect that lets you special summon them from the hand if you control either a Link 1 or a level 2 synchro monster. Similar to cards like Sprite Blue and Kashtira Fenrir, these effects do not activate, which makes the deck very good at playing into cards like Wave High King Caesar. Yummy also has a very powerful Link monster, Yummy Snatchy, which facilitates most of the deck's game plan and ability to play on both players' turns. Yummy Snatchy can be summoned using any level 4 or lower light beast monster, and when special summon allows you to place a Yummy field spell from your deck face up on your field at the cost of locking you out of special summoning Link 3 or higher monsters for the rest of the turn. This effect is important, but I'll get back to that in a bit. Additionally, during either player's main phase or the opponent's battle phase, you can pay 100 life points and synchro summon any synchro monster using at least one Yummy monster you control. Notably, this effect is not once per turn, though you can do this multiple times in a turn to flood the board with synchro monsters during either player's turn. Now, a question you may be wondering at this point is, how am I summoning a synchro monster in my synchro deck if none of the monsters are tuners? Well, the neat thing about each of the Yummy synchros is that there are level 2 tuners that require a tuner and a non-tuner to be synchro summoned, but they each have an effect where a Link 1 monster can be treated as a level 1 tuner for their synchro summon. This means that you can use any Link 1 and a level 1 monster to summon a Yummy synchro, meaning that cards like Sky Striker and Engage can convert into Yummy Engine without using your normal summon. The Yummy synchro monsters all have different effects when they are synchro summoned. Cupsy Yummy Way adds 2 Yummy monsters from the deck to the hand and discards a card when it is summoned. Lollipop Yummy Way summons 2 Yummy monsters from the graveyard with their effects negated, and Cookie Yummy Way targets 2 cards on the field and changes them to face down defense position. The Yummy synchros also share the effect that when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can return them to the extra deck or cost to summon 2 Yummy monsters from your graveyard. This effect helps enable you to play on both players' turns and get the bonus effects from your main deck monsters to boost their disruptive power. I previously mentioned that Yummy Snatchy has an effect that places a Yummy field spell from the deck. Yummy actually has 2 very powerful field spells that provide different benefits for the deck. Yummy's Minion lets you target a level 1 Yummy monster and special summon it if you control a Link 1 monster. It also gives each of your Yummy monsters 500 attack for each light beast monster on the field, which can easily turn your small Yummy monsters into menaces on the battlefield. The other field spell, Yummy's Acrokey, lets you target an opponent's card and destroy it if you synchro summon a light beast monster, and can special summon a Yummy monster from your deck if a monster you control leaves the field because of your opponent's card effect. This helps playing into boards going second and extending through Nibiru. Both field spells share the effect where if they are in the graveyard, they can target 2 Yummy monsters in your graveyard or banishment and place the targets and themselves on the bottom of the deck. When playing Yummy, you'll be cycling between both field spells depending on which is better for the situation. The last relevant Yummy card that I want to talk about is Yummy Surprise, a quick play spell that has 3 different effects that you can use once per turn. When activated, you can choose to target 2 light beast monsters you control and 2 cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand. Special summon a Yummy monster from your hand or graveyard, or return a field spell from your field or graveyard to the hand and then optionally place a Yummy field spell from your hand on the field. This card will be your primary search target for Cupsy, as it is both an extender and a disruption that is useful to have for either player's turn. The next card I want to mention isn't a Yummy card by name or even a new card, but it is a very powerful card in the Yummy deck, and that is Obedience Schooled. The card reads, if you control no monsters, special summon 3 level 2 or lower beast monsters from your deck with their effects negated, but destroy them during the end phase. And for the rest of the turn after it resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except beast monsters. Obviously, this is an insanely powerful starter, especially going second, being able to summon 3 bodies before committing your normal summon. However, do keep in mind that it does lock you out of cards like Herald of the Arclight, IP Masquerena, and SP Little Knight. Yummy has a lot of 1-card combos that enable you to set up very powerful boards. Because Snatchy can be summoned using any of the main decks, each of them make the full board, though Cupsy is the best starter because it searches Surprise, which can help extend further. Traditional hand traps also don't trade super favorably, especially if your opponent uses cards like Imperm and Veiler in a bad spot, since all of your synchros can remove themselves from the field, and the Link 1 can synchro summon monsters using monsters you control as a quick effect. Because the deck is able to play on both players' turns, even cards like Molcharmies can have minimal impact at times, while Droll and Lockbird also has minimal impact depending on the starter. The deck has lots of room for non-engine and is even able to play cards like Dominus Purge and Songs of the Dominators, since the deck typically does not activate monster effects in the hand. Admittedly, the deck does have a few weaknesses. While the deck has quite a few starters that don't require your normal summon, such as Engage and Obedience Schooled, if you open a hand going second where Lollipo or Cookie is your only starter, it can be very difficult to play if your normal summon gets removed from the field. In addition, there isn't currently a way to recover your banished field spells, so if Yummy's minion is banished, it can be very difficult to actually end games, since that is the primary way of putting enough damage on the field to actually clear boards. That being said, as long as you manage your resources correctly, the deck has an absurd amount of layered interruptions that are very difficult for most decks to play through. So now I'm going to show you a couple quick sample combos that you can do with this deck. I'm going to go over the Cupsy combo first. Any of your main deck monsters are 1-card starters, though Cupsy is the best one because it searches an additional interruption. So I'm just going to show you what the Cupsy combo looks like. The Fool Losses are just additional cards in your hand, though you only need 1 discard for this combo to work. So we're going to normal Cupsy, activate the effect to search, and we're going to grab out Surprise as an additional extender or a interruption on your opponent's turn. You can use it if you get a hand trap, but we're not going to use it in the combo. You're just going to have it. So next we're going to summon Yummy Snatchy using the Cupsy as material, and we're going to activate Snatchy's effect to place Yummy's minion from the deck to the field. And we're going to use Minion's effect, targeting the Cupsy, to special summon it. And now that we have a Link 1 plus a level 1 body, we are able to make a Yummy Synchro. So now we can summon Cupsy Yummy away and activate his effect to search for 2 more Yummy monsters from our deck and then discard 1. So we're going to search for the other 2 that we did not start with. And we're going to discard a card, just the Fool Us in this example. So we're going to special Cookie. It doesn't matter which one you summon, but we're going to special Cookie. We're going to make another Link 1. We're going to special Lollipo. And then we're going to use those 2 to make another Yummy Synchro. We're going to summon Lollipo. And we're going to use Lollipo's effect to summon 2 Yummy monsters from their graveyard. Their effects are going to be negated, so keep that in mind. If you summon back Yummy Snatchy, you will not be able to use its effect. In this case, we're just going to summon back Cookie and Lollipo. And we're going to use those 2 to make a Martial Metal Marcher. And if you guys don't remember this card from the Infernoble days, when this card is synchro summoned, you can target a tuner in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position but negates effects. So we're going to just use his effect to revive the Cupsy that we synchroed off. And its effects are negated, so again, you can't tag out with this one. But what you're going to do is use the Metal Marcher and the other level 1 body on the field to make Herald. You can also make IP Masquerena, but in this scenario, I like to make Herald blind. This card is very powerful as an Omni-Negate, and it's also just very strong into Dracotail because the Floodgate effect hurts them really badly. So I like to go for this card blind. You have ways of protecting it. So you're going to link off the negated Cupsy for another Link 1. And then now you have Surprise as part of your end board, so you're going to set Surprise and pass. And then on your opponent's turn, you can tag into, when they activate a card or effect, any of the monsters in your graveyard. So Yummy Snatchy can place the other field spell, and then when you synchro again with it, you can pop a card. you have a banish from your opponent's graveyard. You can destroy a monster on your opponent's field. You have a draw off of Cupsy. And you can also summon Cookie from your extra deck and change 2 of their monsters to face down defense position. So overall, it's a very layered board with a lot of interruptions that your opponent has to get through. So the next combo we're going to go over is Sky Striker Engage. So as I mentioned earlier, Sky Striker Engage does get you to Yummy combo without utilizing your normal summon. So we're going to activate Engage to search for Hornet Drones. And Hornet Drones is going to summon a level 1 token. We're going to use the Hornet Drones token to make Kagari, and activate Kagari's effect, targeting the Hornet Drones to add it back to our hand. And we're going to activate the Hornet Drones again, summon the token, and as previously mentioned, we have Link 1 plus level 1 body, and because of that, we are able to summon a Yummy Synchro. So we're going to summon Cupsy, and activate its effect to search for 2 Yummy cards. Admittedly, this combo is a little bit worse than the other combos because you cannot tag out if you get impermed here. But it's still a starter that you have not normal summon, so that is something to note. So you're going to discard whatever additional card, in this case it's the Perulia. You're going to special Cupsy, search out the Surprise, or whatever Yummy card is best in this situation. You're going to link for Snatchy, and activate Snatchy's effect to place the field spell, Yummy Smith Minion. Minion will revive Cupsy, and then you'll summon Lollipo from the extra deck. And then Lollipo's effect will summon 2 Yummies from the graveyard with their effects negated. So you're going to, similar to the previous combo, you're going to use those 2 to make Martial Metal Marcher. And Metal Marcher will summon the Tuner from your graveyard. And then you're going to summon the Cookie from hand. You're going to make Herald of the Arclight. And then you can make another Link 1. And then with your normal summon, you could in theory make an SB also. But this is just a sort of a sample of what the end board you can end on. This could also easily be an IP Masquerena. But those are just sort of some ideas of what you can do. And the end board is the same. You still have multiple interruptions. You have 1 less name because you only get 2 searches off of Cupsy Yummy. But you can always, if you need the 3rd disruption, you can synchro summon Cupsy on your opponent's turn and then add and discard the name that you're missing. And then you can tag into it with another synchro. This deck has a lot of very layered disruptions, and if you sequence your plays properly, you can usually get to the full end board, even through like disruptions and whatnot. If you like combo decks with powerful end boards that are also relatively resilient to disruption, then Yummy is the deck for you. With its many 1-card starters and powerful non-engine lineup, it is very likely that the deck will be a force to be reckoned with in the TCG. This isn't even mentioning the plethora of hybrid variants that will likely emerge as the deck is evolved further. I've seen people experimenting with Fabled and Fiendsmith cards, but I personally want to wait until the ban list arrives before looking into those any further. If you'd like to see some more Yummy content such as deck lists or additional combos, please support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.